Hello my friends, and welcome to Paulina Art. Today I bring you this beautiful composition of a winter early spring flower, the primrose. The primrose blooms in February, actually, February to April, I believe. I wanted to create a crisp early spring day in nature, with the flowers and rocks and a little bit of a beautiful garden created by nature. To see how I created this beautiful composition, stay with me and let's paint together. I'm going to start with the background as usual. For this reason, I have my pattern on top of my paper. I'm going to be painting on watercolor paper. I'm going to be using acrylic paint, so you can recreate this on canvas or on acrylic paper as well. And I'm going to paint the sky blue until about here. So I'm going to make a little mark on my pattern. And from here, I'm going to go with a light green. This little mark is going to help me. I'm going to transfer this little mark onto my watercolor paper right there, and on the other side as well. So for the background, I'm going to use a sponge. It's the quickest way to do backgrounds, and the results are beautiful. I have my blue, green, and my white on this palette. Today I'm working with Folk Art multi-surface acrylic paint. I'm going to start with a lighter color that I mix myself here with the white and the blue. It's always a good idea to start from the lighter color when you're doing the sky, and then you can work towards the darker. So I'm going to dip my sponge, and because I did the line here, I know where my sky is going to go, and I'm going to go ahead, and actually I'm going to do it on some round motion, circular motion. And then I'm going to move to a little bit of a darker blue. This one has a little bit more of the blue in there. Usually, to give the painting perspective, it's good to go from dark to light when you're painting sky. This will give your painting more dimension. Finally, we're going to go with a little bit darker. Actually, I'm using my blue pretty much straight out, but that's what I want. I'm going to blend a little bit with the clean side of the sponge. We're going to leave it for now. I'm going to rinse my sponge because we're going to do the bottom with a light green. Actually, I think my sponge is clean enough. I'm going to pick up the green, which I put a little bit of white to make it a little bit lighter. I can always make it darker later. And I'm going to create a bit of grass in here, so I'm going to just pounce my sponge this way. And now I'm going to add a little bit of the straight green, just to add a little bit of more dimension on the back. Maybe a little bit at the front here. We're going to let this dry before we put our pattern on top. My background is dry, so I can go ahead and place my pattern on top and decide exactly where I want it. So I'm going to move it around and find the best place. I want my flowers centered, and I want to leave enough room at the top and at the bottom and at the sides to balance the composition. And I'm going to tape it so it doesn't move. I'm going to tape it in place, and I'm going to go ahead and put my tracing paper right in here, and I'm going to go ahead and trace my pattern. I have traced my pattern onto my background, and because here is a little bit of a darker green, I had to retrace it again so I can actually see my flowers. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to paint our little primrose flowers in white, because acrylic paint is very translucent, and I don't want some of this green showing through my flowers. And also there's going to be rocks at the bottom, and I think I'm going to paint them white as well. Painting my rocks, I'm going to leave the lines that define the rock. I want to add a little bit of green around here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to pick up some of my green, and I'm just loosely going to add a little bit of green in there. I'm going to add a little bit of green, a little bit of light wash around here in some places. It's okay if there is some white showing through. I like it. I think it gives the painting a little bit more dimension. While all this dries, I'm going to start doing some of the back branches and greeneries, and for that I'm going to use this angle brush. This is a Donna Dewberry 5/6 angle brush. Okay, my friends, I have my white, my green, and my yellow, and a little bit of blending gel. Just a little bit of blending gel. I'm going to put my main color, which is going to be green. I want my green to be the darkest color because I want it darker where my leaves and branches are coming out. So I'm going to leave the toe with the green, and I'm just going to add a little bit of white and yellow at the heel of the brush, and a little bit of yellow because these branches are going to be against the blue sky, and I feel the yellow is going to add a little bit of impact. We're just going to press the brush and just light it up like this. And we'll add a little bit of movement. They don't all have to be going the same direction. If you do the branches moving in different ways, that really adds movement. Like the wind is blowing and moving them. Okay, and some of them we're going to add little leaves, and we're going to use the same brush, loaded exactly the same. And for my leaves, I'm just going to press and slide like this. A few more little branches going in every way. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to do our leaves. The leaves of the primrose are large. I'm going to use the same brush. I'm going to try to use the same brush for the whole painting. Now, when I put my brush on the leaves, I realized that I'm going to have to clean the brush because I want the lighter color on the toe, on the outside, and the darker in the center. I'm going to dip it in the medium lightly. I don't want to overdo it with the medium, otherwise it gets too runny. I'm going to pick up my main color, which is going to be green. I want the white at the end, but I'm going to add a little something to these leaves because my primroses are going to be pink. I'm going to add a little bit of pink on the green. I'm using a very bright pink, and I'm just going to add just a little touch of pink and a little bit of yellow as well on the toe. So I actually have 4 colors in this brush. I have green, white, yellow, and pink. Let's see how that looks. We're going to do this one first, and I'm just going to press my brush and create the leaf. And I'm going to turn the paper around to do the other side because this is easier for me. There we go. That looks pretty. I'm going to do this one. I think I'm going to add a little bit of more white on the outside of the brush. You can adjust your colors as you go along. On this one I have a little more pink on the heel and a little bit more white on the toe. And I like it. I'm gonna do this one. And I'm gonna do the other leaves of Camera, all the remaining ones in similar variations of this color. Okay, my friends, I finished the leaves. These leaves for now. We're gonna add more leaves later once the flowers are done. But I'm gonna wait for this area to dry. And what I'm going to do is do the rocks. For the rocks, I'm going to use white, yellow, brown, and blue. I want to incorporate the blue that I used in the sky to give this painting harmony and balance. For the rocks, I'm going to mix some white with a little bit of yellow, a little bit of brown, and a little bit of blue. And I'm going to make it messy like this. And this is how I'm going to use for the rocks. We're just going to messily put it in there like this. We don't want to overblend. We want to create an effect of that it is a rock in there. We're going to add some darker areas on the rock. We're going to paint wet on wet. I think that's going to give the best effect for these rocks. So I'm going to pick up some brown with blue, just like this, a little bit messy with a little bit of white. And this is going to give us some shading on the rocks in some areas. Rocks have uneven surfaces. All right, we're going to leave them like this for now. We're going to work on them a little bit later. Now I think my flowers, I can go ahead and paint my primroses. And for that, I'm going to use the same angle brush. I'm going to try to use this brush for everything. And I have my bright pink in here, which is going to be the main color for my primroses. Primroses have many petals, so I'm not going to be too concerned about how many petals I do per flower. On a clean brush, I'm going to pick up a little bit of medium. And I'm going to pick up my main color, which is going to be this bright, beautiful pink. I think I need a new palette here pretty soon. And then I want to have white in the center. So I'm going to pick up the white on the heel of the brush, just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and do the petals of my flowers. I don't want them perfect. I want them a little bit messy and with movement. So here we go, my friends. My flowers are done for now. While this dries, I'm going to add a little bit of greenery in here. I'm going to pick up some medium green because I want the darker at the root. I'm just going to add a little bit of white and yellow on the toe. I'm just going to press my brush and create some strokes of grass. maybe we'll add some shadow underneath our rocks. Let's do that now while everything else dries. Here's my green and my brown, and I'm going to create a brown green color like this, and I'm going to add a little bit of shading on my rocks. I'm going to continue working on the rocks, just adding some darkness. I'm going to use my liner brush for that, and I'm going to use the same dark green with brown to create more shading on the rocks and more definition. I'm just playing around with these rocks, just trying to create an effect, not necessarily trying to make perfect rocks, but trying to create a little bit of a rock effect. Okay, I think I'm going to leave them for now. We are going to go back to our flowers. The inside of the primrose is yellow, so I'm going to use my bright yellow and do the inside of these flowers. I think I'm going to use this big round brush because I don't want to worry too much about detail at the moment. So I'm picking up some yellow, just my bright yellow on my round brush, and I'm going to dab the centers. Still leaving a little bit of the white showing. That is drying, I'm going to go with my liner brush and add a little bit of white on some of the flowers. So I'm going to pick up my liner brush and some white. I'm not going to add white to every single petal, but just to some of them. Otherwise I feel it's going to be too much and I'm going to lose the effect that I'm looking for. I'm going to add a little bit of white to some of the leaves as well. I'm going to add a little bit of blue to the center of my primrose, mixed with a little bit of brown. Also go with my hot pink and touch up some of the edges. I want this composition to have more of a loose effect. I don't want the flowers to be perfect or too much detail. So I'm going to leave my flowers to be for now. I'm going to add a little bit of highlight to the rocks. The rocks I feel are a little bit dry, and I'm just going to add a little bit of light to them. For that I'm going to use a little bit of white with yellow, almost as if the sun was hitting the rock in some places. A few leaves coming out of the flowers. I'm going to make them smaller, and I'm going to use the same angle brush that I've been using. I'm going to use my medium with green, and on the heel I'm going to put a little bit of white and yellow just to give a little bit of light. Just going to add some random leaves or little branches coming out. look done by nature. I'm going to add some at the bottom around the rocks. And just to add some color, I think I'm going to put a little bit of blue on the toe along with the green. Little bit of white to the rocks randomly. I think I'm going to add a little bit of lighter grass in some areas, maybe a light green, white with green with the same angle brush. I have created a lighter green just to add a little more contrast, I feel. A little bit more life to the painting. I think one last thing that I'm gonna do off camera, otherwise I'm gonna get paint everywhere. I'm gonna do it in my sink, is I'm gonna wet this brush with a lot of water, and I'm gonna dip it in my pink, and I'm gonna splatter some pink around here. I hope you liked this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you know what to do. I hope you download this pattern. I'm going to leave it on my Facebook page. I'm going to leave a link below. If you do end up painting it, I hope you share it with me on my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.